Hey folks, thought I would get on here and talk to you real quick. I don't know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm just trying this out. Hopefully this will work, but I don't know. I'm trying to get used to this. Let's see. Okay. Yep. As you could probably tell, I'm on a newer computer. I have to thank my sister for that. I'm just trying to get used to this new setup. Um, as you could tell, I'm in a different room. But I wanted to get on here real quick and talk to you guys about a couple of things. Um, I'm sure you all heard of the Nattalie McNally case by now, who was tragically murdered by her so called boyfriend, um, who went by the screen name of Vote Saxon '07. Um, shoot. Hold on. Start over. No, no. Well, I was going to start over this video, but I'm not going to. I'm brand new to this computer, so you'll have to forgive the sloppiness at the beginning of this. Um, as you know, I've been offline for well over a year on my other channels. I managed to get back on the one that I was doing the video vlogs from my telephone. Well, now I could do it by computer too. I wanted to get on here tonight to talk to you guys about a couple of things. We're going to start with the Nattalie McNally case. For those of you that don't know, Nattalie McNally was the young woman that was tragically murdered over in Lurgan, Scotland, in her home, just days before Christmas, over 3.5, almost 4 years ago, by a former boyfriend. He went by the name of Vote Saxon '07. I'll just go by the killer's name on that. He went by the YouTube channel Vote Saxon '07. He was a toy reviewer / Doctor Who fanatic. I found out about this guy through another friend of mine over in the UK that talked about this case, and I dove into it, followed everything that Scotland news media was putting out there about Nattalie and her unborn baby, which would have been a son, and they surviving family members named him Dino. Like sometime around a little under a week before Christmas, this Vote Saxon '07 fella said, "Well, I'm off to stream the night away." And he's like, "Wish me luck." And his girlfriend said, "Well, maybe I'll pop in on your stream later." Well, what we didn't know at the time was he got on his stream and he kept asking if he was live. And then he said if he did a certain thing with his game system, it would crash his OBS or whatever crap. But the scary thing is, he timed that 6-hour live stream of playing GTA Vice City, I think it was. He streamed for 6 hours. And he timed it to the letter. The other problem is it wasn't really a stream. It was more like a homemade movie video that lasted 6 hours to make it look like he was streaming when he actually wasn't. He timed it to the letter and timed it to the time he left, committed the crime, and when he got home. There was a lot of twists and turns in this case. I'm not going to go into everything, but they thought they had another guy that was responsible, but they rearrested this Vote Saxon '07 bastard, and they kept him in jail. They just had the trial. It wasn't streamed around the world. Over there in Scotland, they keep things very tight-lipped over there. And they found him guilty. And I don't know when he'll be sentenced in May, but I think he'll be sentenced in May. Hopefully, the guy who did that will never get out, because that lady should be here, and her son, Dean, would be about 4.5, I think. That's a long time to be without a daughter and a grandson, you know? Um, I know her family has been through hell and back. But yeah, I'm just trying to get this out to you. I know I've been incredibly busy trying to get my computer set back up, and now I'm moving into a different room, as you see here. But to know that Nattalie McNally has now found justice, that her killer has been locked up, and I hope he gets life in prison for that, because she shouldn't have been killed. She should still be here, raising her child, giving her grandparents a little grandson that they could play with and take to the park and do all the things that grandparents do for their grandkids. That meant the world to Nattalie, and too bad all her dreams and hopes, not just for her, but for her little boy, were taken away from him. He'll never have his first times in school. He'll never have his first times in middle school or even high school, much less get married. All that stuff has been wiped away because of what this so called man had done to this lady. Over in Lurgan, Scotland, I don't think very many people lock their doors. But I think after this, it really makes you think who we really know in our lives. Um, by all accounts, things seem to be a happy match between the couple, but, it is what it is. That poor lady went to visit her parents that night to watch a soccer game. Over there, it's called football. But she went to see her favorite team, cheered on that team with her family. She got home, and sometime around 9 o'clock that night, she was murdered. And there were a lot of Easter eggs in that video. Like, I hit you and I liked it. I need to kill this bitch. I need to take her down. Yeah, that's physics. That's what happens in the real world. And he says, abso-fucking-nately. And he mentions her name. That's the most fucked up thing I had ever seen in my life. And as you see him drinking those Guinness beers, the more drunker he got, the more wild he got. And he talked about hellfire. He was screaming at the screen while playing his GTA. It's very scary. I understand the guy lost his parents and lost his dog or whatever, but there comes a time when you have to actually grow up and be a responsible adult. If you don't want to be the father, sign away your parental rights. That's all. You didn't have to go all the way to her house and kill her because you were upset that she was communicating with her old flame. Maybe she was thinking of leaving you. I don't know. But she didn't deserve to die. And what's worse is her pets trusted you. And the sad thing is the neighbors heard the lady scream, but nobody called the police. Nobody went over to her place to check on her. Nobody called the police. None of that. But Stephen McCullough, a.k.a. Vote Saxon 07, went to her apartment and killed her. And he somehow suckered a taxi cab driver into thinking that his mother was sick and that he had to get home right away. And he had his phone off the whole time that he was out committing this crime until they got back to his house. And the phone clicked back on. And what's sad is he talks about Christmas wishes in his video at the end. And then he says something in the video. He's like, I'm going to enjoy the time with my holiday time with my family, and then I shall be doing things elsewhere in my life. I think he knew he was going to get caught. But I've learned that if you drink a lot of booze, like this guy probably did that night, his real self came out that night. And the fact that, this guy, Vote Saxon '07, tried to get a friend of his to go with him to check on Nattalie, quote unquote. But this woman didn't go. And when she found out what this guy had done, she said, "That guy ain't my friend." And I get so mad. I think of him like, Lacey Peterson that got killed, you know, Chris Watts, the guy killed his wife also. You know, there's something fundamentally wrong with people that when they get a bun in the oven with a woman and they don't want to face the responsibility of being a parent, they go around and they wind up killing their significant other. I don't get it. I don't want to even think about what might have been for young Dean if he came into the world to find out that his dad might be a jealous, overbearing little prick. So I heard he went into her phone, and after the murder, he had a few days of freedom. He even went back to the McNally home and grieved with them, and they opened up their home to him. And, and they said one day he left his phone there for like 45 minutes and was recording the family. He was waiting to see if they suspected him at any cost. So who knows? Maybe if he found out that they were suspecting him, he might have gone after her family too. We will never know. But at least his ass will be sitting in prison for the foreseeable future. I, for one, am glad about that. But the fact that Nattalie McNally is not here to raise her child and be a loving mother to her son and give the family grandkids. I mean, it may sound conceited, but a woman's greatest accomplishment is having children. Status and everything in business is one thing, but being a good parent is another. She would have been a good mom. She worked in transit or something like that, and she had her life ahead of her. Even with the health issues such as diabetes, she was determined to make the best of her life, and I'm sure she would have done that tenfold. Now, I don't know when her killer will be charged, but when I find out, you'll be the first to know. But another thing I want to talk about here real quick before getting off to have some dinner. I really haven't eaten today except several pretzels with peanut butter. But I wanted to get on here and talk to you about JLR Investigates. I've mentioned him in my past videos. JLR Investigates is a so-called crime detective on YouTube. He's covered many shootings and other cases. But there's a seedy, dark underbelly to that guy. Let's see. See what I can pull up on old JLR Investigates investigation. So we'll just see here. Let's see. Since I don't have lights on in here. Let's see. JLR. Oh, come on. Come on. JLR. Come on. Oh, come on. Investigates. Let's see what they're saying about him. JLR Investigates. Under investigation. Let me go here. Too bad I can't. Oh, I could use the audio here. Okay, JLR Investigates. JLR investigates under investigation. Okay, here we go. Wow. Let's see. News about JLR investigates being under investigation. There's only one true crime YouTuber JLR investigates isn't covering. The ex's allegations that he beat and strangled her. You've heard that right. Go to the New York Post and look it up. Um, it says there's one true crimer ex. The YouTuber JLR investigates isn't covering ex's allegations that he beat and strangled her. True crime YouTube star Jonathan Lee Riches, also JLR Investigates, as he's known by, is accused of brutally beating, strangling, and threatening to kill a former girlfriend, she claims in court documents. In a sworn petition filed in Arkansas, Jamie Tennell Phillips claims Riches, 49, carried out a violent attack on Christmas Eve of 2025, capping what she described as a years-long pattern of abuse, including him repeatedly strangling her. So apparently, this young lady that he was with at the time claims that he often strangled and beat her. And it says the filing obtained by the Post alleges this guy, a convicted felon who spent 10 years in federal prison over a credit card fraud scheme, was in a relationship with Phillips beginning in early 2023 that spiraled into a persistent and escalating pattern of domestic abuse, creative control, intimidation, financial exploitation, and physical violence. So, wow. Let's see what else it says here. Yeah, let's see what else it says. According to the handwritten affidavit, the alleged December 24th assault left Phillips with extreme injuries, including a busted nose, a septum, significant trauma to the head and ribs, requiring emergency medical care, CT scans, and x rays, and that she will need reconstructive surgery. Wow. Phillips claims Riches assaulted her on multiple occasions, beat her with a closed fist in a separate alleged August 2025 attack, strangled her roughly 24 times, and threatened to kill her if she reported him, the filing alleges. She also alleges ongoing harassment after the Christmas incident, which took place in Washington state, including threats, intimidation, and financial abuse. On January 2021 of this year, the court issued a final order of protection, finding there was significant evidence Phillips faced an immediate and present danger of domestic abuse. Yeah, and there's a lovely mugshot of this butthead. Let's see if I can save the image. And I'll see if I can add that to the story later on. I'm still trying to figure this out. Yeah, just a lovely mugshot of this idiot. And they said this guy has not responded to his allegations, and he and his lawyer didn't return to the Post request for comment. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office in Washington sent the Post an incident report, which they had probable cause to arrest him, but he had left the state. But he had not been formally charged in relation to the incident, and no warrant appears to have been issued for his arrest. The woman that is accusing him has a colorful past herself, having been accused of fabricating a story about being impregnated by Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore as a teenager, which she tried to get the Washington Post to run. She could not be reached by the Post for comment. So, yeah. Uh, Phillips told the Post, "I was duped for so long. He portrayed himself as he had changed and turned his life around, but that's not real. He's the same way he's always been. He's a fraud," she claims. "The only thing he cares about is the money. He doesn't care about the cases. He loves it when there's a mass shooting. He gets excited because he'll get a lot of views and a lot of money." Riches reinvented himself as JLR Investigates, a YouTube channel which has grown to more than 500,000 subs around 3 years ago after a lifetime of frauds, fakeries, and manipulation. He describes himself as a fearless investigator and inserts himself into high-profile investigations to live stream. Most recently, he had been broadcasting from Tucson, Arizona, outside the house of missing Nancy Guthrie. He's basically a big celebrity in the true crime community. A true crime follower, streamer, Elena Smith had told the Post. This man has gained a reputation for being one of the most persistent streamers, filming up to 15 hours each day, responding to questions in real time, and accepting money from viewers to complete tasks such as streaming in on certain parts of a crime scene. The more subscribers he gets, the more profitable his YouTube channel becomes, regardless of whether the information he reports is fact or fiction. That's why he's in Tucson for over a month. It's easy money for him to just set up a camera and let it go. Other streamers have estimated to the Post that he makes up to $30,000 a week in his persistent boots-on-the-ground approach. Let's see. But his audiences are likely unaware of how sinister JLR Investigates is. In 2019, he openly admitted to being a troll and fabricating highly sensitive information after he was called out for pretending to be Jewish and giving a fake backstory at a Trump rally. "I don't think about the long-term consequences as far as defamation or offending anymore," Richards told the Huffington Post in 2019. "The disinformation is what I want and can put it out there." And he says, "The next mass shooting, before they identify the shooter, I can set up Twitter accounts, up to 10 Twitter accounts looking like news sites, and then create whatever I want as the shooter. Vulnerable, gullible people see that and they think it's from a news site, and they'll copy and tweet it out." His operations have drawn criticism from authorities and journalists, like he's a part of a growing ecosystem of YouTube crime scene streamers who monetize tragedy by broadcasting from active investigations. However, JLR, his notoriety long predates the live stream era. So, yeah, as the article states, he doesn't care whether it's fact or fiction, but he just goes for whatever's out there, and he helps people will buy into that. Well, I could tell you right now, I'm unsubbing from this guy because he sounds like an attention whore, and he's trying to make money off of a sad situation. And Nancy Guthrie deserves so much better than that. Let's go back into his past a little bit. He was, it says fraud ring and federal prison. According to federal court records, this man was indicted in 2003 in the Southern District of Texas alongside several co-defendants for a credit card fraud scheme. The indictment claimed the conspirators used stolen financial data to obtain money and property through fraudulent transactions. JLR was arrested in Florida in February of 2003 and brought to Texas to face charges, entering a guilty plea in conspiracy to wire fraud in court. For fraud. Let me start that again. He was brought into court and he entered a guilty plea to conspiracy and wire fraud charges in September of that year. Federal judge sentenced him to 125 months in prison, wire fraud, and 60 months for conspiracy to run concurrently, along with $92,680 in restitution to the victims, according to the criminal docket. I got to get used to this computer. I'm just trying to get used to it. And it says, most litigious inmate. While locked up, JLR flooded federal courts with thousands of bizarre, frivolous lawsuits targeting politicians, companies, public figures, and celebs, including one of the Kardashian family, for allegedly participating in Al-Qaeda training. The cases were quickly dismissed. The sheer volume of his lawsuits, estimated over 4,000, ultimately forced federal prosecutors to seek an unprecedented nationwide injunction against him to prevent him from suing. He was also banned from having paper in his cell. In response, JLR went on a hunger strike for 22 days, and a warden had to force feed him through a tube. Man, what a sick bastard. Sandy Hook hoax. After being released in 2012, JLR returned to Pennsylvania unsupervised release, but almost immediately found himself back in legal trouble. He traveled to Newtown, Connecticut 3 days after Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre that left 20 first graders and 6 staff members dead. He attended a memorial where he falsely claimed to be the uncle of gunman Adam Lanza, according to local authorities and court filings. He said he was Jonathan Lanza and made unsubstantiated claims about the shooter's mental health, which were quickly debunked. Three days later, JLR posted a YouTube video of the trip in which he attempted to approach Lanza's home before being stopped by a police blockade. A few weeks later, JLR found himself back behind bars for violating the terms of his probation by going across state lines. From there, his phony lawsuits kept coming. In March of 2016, he filed a civil action against Representative Gabrielle Giffords, posing as the man who shot her and killed 6 people several years earlier. According to a criminal complaint, he posed as Jared Lautner, the gunman who tried to kill Giffords. The complaint sought $25 million. JLR pled guilty to a charge of making false statements, according to court records, and was sentenced to 5 years probation. Wow. He later told the Arizona Republic that he filed the fake lawsuit as a joke to entertain himself in prison. JLR was released from federal prison in May of 2016, according to the Bureau of Prisons Inmate Locator. However, his headline-grabbing stunts and questionable antics continue to evolve. During Bill Cosby's trial in September of 2016, he showed up in court repeatedly, offering the disgraced rapist Jell-O each time he entered. Weeks later, he surfaced in Florida alongside then gubernatorial hopeful Andrew Gillum, posing as a Black Lives Matter protester. Some of his audacious acts come from disguising himself as a Muslim and a Jewish attendee at a political event, including rallies for the now President Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. He confirmed to the Huffington Post that he was an atheist from a Christian family and confirmed that he didn't practice any religion. It goes down to where he says he's a live stream investigator. In recent years, JLR attempted to reinvent himself under the online name brand JLR Investigates. While he markets himself as a crime scene investigator, chasing the truth behind profile cases, critics say his appearances often amount to nothing but exploitation, interference, and the spreading of disinformation. In one such incident, a business card was left on Nancy Guthrie's front door. JLR told his viewers that she might have been at the center of an active elder abuse case prior to her disappearance. Jesus Christ. Ugh. The card was from a case manager for Arizona's Adult Protective Services Division, who later confirmed it had dropped by after she was reported missing, so she could contact the agency if she returned home safely. A lack of information leads to speculation, JLR told the Republic while live streaming outside of Guthrie's home in February. The practice mirrors a growing trend highlighted in recent reporting by the Post. Hold on. About YouTubers who earn thousands of dollars from live streams outside active investigations, broadcasting theories and commentary to viewers. Law enforcement officials and victims advocates had warned the practice can complicate investigations and implicate innocent people and victims, wreaking havoc on their lives. Yet for some top-earning streamers like JLR, it appears notoriety and infamy can actually work in their favor. Crime Scene Collective co-founder Elena Smith told the Post that she had seen JLR's fans fly in from interstate and show up at crime scenes simply for a meet and greet with him. Many of them bearing gifts. Others simply donate cash to him online. They are obsessed with him, she said. Wow. See if there's anything else. Nope. That's it. And it looks like JLR Investigates is some sort of attention whore. You know, I think it's rather sad that he wants to use his platform to raise himself up while a woman is missing from her home. Savannah Guthrie doesn't need that kind of bullshit. She doesn't need some yokel that has been convicted of a crime before going into a crime scene long before the investigation is even over. And as far as I know, the woman might not be alive anymore. But like I said, people like JLR Investigates need to step back and let the police do their jobs. Don't use it as your puff-up piece to brand your channel. It's not going to happen. But yeah, you could look up JLR Investigates. It's under investigation. You could look it up for yourself. I just think it's rather pathetic and very sad because, he should know better. But then he's a 49-year-old guy making money off of somebody's misfortune. Like I said, I read something where he didn't care about getting facts. He cared about getting any information, whether it was true or not, getting it out there under different YouTube or Twitter accounts and hoping something would stick and people would pass it on. Well, I'm going to be unsubbing from JLR Investigates. I knew that something was going weird when he was sitting out there for hours on end, streaming, while the police are trying their due diligence to do their jobs. And yet there was him and somebody else out there. Let the police do their jobs. Let them try to find her mother, Savannah is going through a lot. She is worried about her mother. I think she's come to the realization that something did happen to her mother and has to learn how to come out from underneath that But she can't do it as long as there are people like JLR Investigates exploiting her situation to puff up his channel. Well, that's not going to happen. And if I can get my visual updated, I'll show you the nice, lovely mugshot. It isn't pretty. He's a con man. And if he has been caught abusing his girlfriend, he should go to jail for that too. Nobody deserves to be abused. Not no man, not no woman. And if you're abusing somebody, you need to be up under a jail. And as for Vote Section '07, I think he'll be spending many, many years behind the house of many doors. He'll never get out. And by the way, Vote Saxon '07's channel has been erased, deleted, done. It's out. It's gone. So if you were looking to watch the Violent Night Christmas stream that he had up, you can't anymore. The case is over. He's going to be sentenced sometime in May. And if I find out anything, you'll be the first to know. But to JLR Investigates, if you are abusing people, you need to be in jail. If you're passing misinformation, you should be removed from the platform. Don't need that. We get enough of that crap from members of our Congress. I'm growing tired of it. And I tuned out from his stupid streams out of respect for Nancy Guthrie and her family. So, yeah. Savannah doesn't need the stress. And I want her mother to be found, whether she's alive or not. She needs to be found. But I must ask you all, give the family their privacy. That's all I want. I hope to do more videos like this, but I'm trying to get used to this new computer. So after Easter, I'm going to try another video. But I wanted to get on here and update you on a couple of the stories. So have a good Easter, everybody. Don't eat too much food or candy. Take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Shoot. Okay.